Live.
Live. Okay. Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome. I'd like to start by welcoming the members of the Economic Development Power Allocation Board who are presently participating. I'm Bob Cattell, and Chairman Hoyt was not able to attend this meeting, and I've been asked to sit in and chair the meeting. In addition, I'd like to welcome the other board members, Judge Nicandri and Senator Marzias. Welcome to the meeting.
Thank you.
Also like to welcome the Power Authority staff who are here this morning. Thank you for being here. This is a scheduled committee meeting which has been duly noticed as required by the Open Meetings Law. I will call the meeting of the board to order pursuant to the EDPAB Bylaws Article 3, Section 2. First item on our agenda is adoption of the proposed agenda of the March 20th, 2017 meeting. That's this meeting. We'll begin with the adoption of the agenda, but first ask whether committee members have any amendments to the proposed agenda. I do have one amendment to the proposed agenda. In reviewing the minutes of the last meeting, I noticed that I had neglected to recuse myself. One of the entities that was approved was Northwell Health. I sit on the board of the Feinstein Medical Research, which is a division of Northwell Health. So I think it should have been appropriate for me to recuse myself of voting on that item. So we will amend the minutes, and I guess when we go to approve the minutes, Karen, how do you want to handle that?
You made your statement. It's on the record. That's
okay.
Fine, and then we can move on to the minutes that are before them.
Okay, thank you. So then I think our next item then is to ask for a motion to approve the minutes approve the agenda. I'm sorry. Any amendments to the agenda other than the one I've already made? If not,
I would
we
so
have a
move
motion.
the approval.
Thank you. We have a second? Second, thank you. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
The only thing, Mr. Chairman, the only thing that would make this meeting any better is if we were all at the same location as Judge Nicandri is right now.
I will second that motion. Although today is the first day of spring, so let's take note that things should be getting better going forward.
Yes. Okay.
The motion, I believe, has carried. The next item is approval of the minutes of the meeting of December 12th, 2016. As indicated, I did make a motion to amend those minutes. So
those are previous minutes.
Those are the previous minutes.
Right,
okay. That's what I meant. The previous minutes. Okay. So then we need to. I need a motion to approve the December 12th, 2016 minutes.
So move.
Second, please. All right. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Before moving forward with the agenda, I will ask if any member has a conflict of interest based on the list of entities being considered for power allocations today.
I have none. I have none.
And I have none. Okay, so then we are allowed to move forward. The next item on our agenda is the Recharge New York Power Program allocations. And I'll ask Keith Hayes, Vice President of Marketing, to present this item. Keith?
Thank you, Chairman Cattell, Judge Nicandri, Senator Marzias. Good morning to you all. Today I am going to hand the reins over to one of our staff members, Yale Brown, who will be presenting the materials to you today. Yale is a BPAC analyst here who does a lot of work on these allocations. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Yale.
Thank you, Keith, and good morning, everyone. And thanks again, Keith, for the opportunity to present here today. So the first item on our agenda is the power allocations for the Recharge New York program. Today, the board is requested to recommend that the trustees award 14 allocations of Recharge New York large business retention, large business expansion, and small business and not-for-profit based power to 12 applicants. 18 applications were evaluated for this period, all of which were submitted through the state's consolidated funding application system. The applications included both retention and expansion-based power allocation requests, in addition to requests from small businesses. As in the past, applications were evaluated on a competitive basis in consideration of the 12 criteria in the recharge legislation. Each application was evaluated and scored with regional economic development councils providing input by scoring each applicant in their region relative to 2 of the 12 legislative criteria. The council scores comprise 20% of an applicant's total score. Prior to today's recommendations, please note the following. 52.1 megawatts are available to allocate out of 610 megawatts that are set aside for large business retention purposes. 101.5 megawatts are available to allocate out of 200 megawatts that are set aside for large business expansion purposes, and 8.2 megawatts are available to allocate out of 100 megawatts that are set aside for small business and not-for-profit purposes. Today's recommendations consist of 14 allocations totaling nearly 6.5 megawatts of Recharge New York power. This includes the following: 3 large business retention allocations totaling over 1 megawatt and supporting over 600 jobs, 3 large business expansion allocations totaling over 4.7 megawatts and supporting the creation of 225 new jobs, and 8 small business allocations totaling nearly 0.7 megawatts and supporting 325 total jobs. If today's 14 recommended allocations are approved, 51.1 megawatts will remain available to allocate for large business retention purposes, 96.8 megawatts will remain available to allocate for large business expansion purposes, and 7.5 megawatts will remain available to allocate for small business and not-for-profit purposes. The awarded applicants will be offered Recharge New York contracts for a term of up to 7 years. The contract has provisions for the partial or complete withdrawal of an allocation if the recipient fails to maintain mutually agreed-upon commitments relating to, among other things, employment, power utilization, and capital investment. In summary, the board is being asked today to recommend that the trustees approve 14 Recharge New York large business retention, large business expansion, and small business-based power allocations. This item is submitted for your approval. I'd be happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Yale. Any questions? Okay. I have no questions. Then on that basis, I'll ask for a motion to approve the recommendation found in the materials.
I would so move.
Second.
Thank you very much. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Okay. The next item on our agenda is transfer of Recharge New York power and hydropower allocations. And Keith, are you going to do this one, or
Yale is going to carry the day.
Carry on,
Continue
You're doing
along.
fine. You're doing fine.
Thank you. All right, so moving right along. So this next item requests the board to approve the transfers of Recharge New York power allocations for 6 customers and realignment of employment commitments for 1 customer, each of whom are experiencing business changes necessitating such transfers and realignment. Specifically, the board is requested to approve the following. 1. The transfer of a 2,070 kilowatt Recharge New York power allocation from Cascades Tissue Group New York, Inc., Mechanicville, to Cascades New York, Inc., in order to address organizational changes. 2. The transfer of a 386 kilowatt Recharge New York power allocation from PCI Paper Conversions, Inc., which uses the allocation at facilities located at Thompson Road North, Syracuse, to Matt Industries, Inc., and B, a 73 kilowatt Recharge New York hydropower allocation awarded to Matt Industries, Inc. from the company's Dupley Park Drive, Syracuse facility to a facility located at Thompson Road North, Syracuse, in order to address ownership and organizational changes. 3. The transfer of a 46 kilowatt Recharge New York power allocation from East West Industries, Inc.'s facility in Ronkonkoma to a new facility also located in Ronkonkoma. 4. The transfer of a 38 kilowatt Recharge New York hydropower allocation from PPI Corp's 112 Riverside Drive Geneseo facility to a new facility that the company will operate at 275 Commerce Drive, Rochester. Number 5, the transfer of an 83 kilowatt Recharge New York hydropower allocation from Syracuse Label Company Inc.'s Liverpool facility to a new facility in North Syracuse. And number 6, the transfer of United Baking Company's 900 kilowatt Recharge New York power allocation used at its Shirley facility to Give and Go Prepared Foods USA Corp. In this case, the board is also requested to approve the realignment of the employment commitments relating to the Shirley facility and United Baking Company's facility in Islip, New York, where United Baking uses a 316 kilowatt Recharge New York power allocation in order to address ownership and organizational changes. The requested realignment results in no change to the total job commitments or allocation amounts. The transfers and adjustments are conditioned on subsequent approval by the authority, will result in no material reduction in the base employment levels and capital investment commitments associated with the allocations, and each will be addressed in contract documents containing such terms and conditions determined by the authority to be appropriate to effectuate each transfer and adjustment. In summary, the board is being asked today to approve the transfers of Recharge New York power allocations to 6 customers and to approve the realignment of employment commitments for 1 customer. This item is submitted for your approval. I'd be happy to take any of your questions.
Thank you, Yale. Question?
I take it none of the other proposed transfers involve any loss of jobs as well. Is that correct?
There are no changes to the jobs in these transfers. It's moving allocations from one company to a different corporate entity, but there will be no changes in total job commitments.
And are all of these 6 compliant with their job commitment?
This time.
At this time, yes.
I would assume that probably these changes are being made in order to facilitate them keeping up with their job commitment. That's the reason for the changes, I would assume. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Yeah, Senator, in many cases, the entity either moves its location or production to other facilities.
Right.
Yeah, and I think the key here is that there are no reductions in the job commitments.
Right.
Just moving of the power.
Usually one part of the company will be ramping up, because of some market changes, and the other part will be ramping down. So they're just changing the allocations. This is a good thing to do. Some flexibility in the program, I think, is a very positive thing.
Agree.
I think we all agree with that. Thank you.
Keith or Yale, do you get any pushback on the improvements in productivity sometimes result in job losses? Do you get any pushback from any of our applicants?
Actually, Judge, there's a proviso in the contract that allows us to defer action for those very reasons. When a business is, for instance, implementing energy efficiency measures that may reduce the amount of kilowatts they're actually using, we defer. We do not take action against that company because that's actually in line with the statute, and that's what we're looking to promote, maximizing the value of the hydropower. So the answer is no, we don't take action against those businesses.
Okay.
Does that answer your question, Judge?
It does, yes. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Any other questions with respect to this item? Okay, good discussion. If not, then I will ask for a motion to approve the recommendation. Have a motion? Second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion is carried. Okay, Yale, you're still carrying the ball here? And now we're going to look at the Recharge New York program application modification.
Yes, thank you. This final item requests the board to authorize staff to modify the current Recharge New York application to be used by current customers applying for Recharge New York contract extensions. The board is also requested to authorize staff to modify the Recharge New York application when the Vice President of Economic Development determines that a modification to the application would improve the overall effectiveness of the application process and administration of the Recharge New York Power Program. As background, the Recharge New York statute authorizes a process for current Recharge New York power recipients to apply for extensions of their existing Recharge New York power allocations. Pursuant to the statute, a large number of current Recharge New York power recipients will be able to apply for extensions of existing Recharge New York power allocations this year. Modifications to the current Recharge New York application to enable customers to apply for an extension would include relevant information such as information relating to an applicant's continuing eligibility, the applicant's compliance record for contractual commitments associated with existing Recharge New York power allocations, and additional information relevant to both the extension and changes in business conditions that might warrant changes in the recipient's contractual commitments. The revised application would be made available to Recharge New York power recipients after May 1st, 2017. Staff expects over 400 customers to apply for Recharge New York extensions in the second half of 2017. Due to the anticipated high volume of extension applications, staff may need to permit the submission of extension applications before the 5-year mark, in accordance with the statute. Staff anticipates bringing the first completed extension recommendations to the board in December 2017. Based on its experience in administering the Recharge New York program over the past 5 years, staff has determined that it needs flexibility to be able to modify the application periodically to obtain additional information from applicants. This includes the following: information about applicants and proposed projects, improved questions about program criteria, information that is needed to respond to changes in the law that could affect the program, and information about energy efficiency and conservation. In summary, the board is being asked today to authorize staff to modify the Recharge New York application to solicit information directly relevant to the extension of an existing Recharge New York power allocation, and to authorize staff to modify the Recharge New York application when the Vice President of Economic Development determines that a modification to the application would improve the effectiveness of the application process and administration of the Recharge New York power program. This item is submitted for your approval. I'd be happy to address any of your questions.
Okay, thank you, Yale. Okay, so this is sort of a new one for us.
Yes.
We have to approve, give companies the ability to modify their applications, and then you go through the process to make sure that they're still consistent with the requirements. Any questions?
I do. Yale, does this change comport with the legislature and the governor's attempt to streamline the application processes so that, potential customers don't have to jump through 15 hoops, but just...
Yes. The purpose is to streamline the process to facilitate the existing customers applying for extensions. So to cater some of the questions geared for our current customers to receive an extension as opposed to brand new applicants. So the purpose is to streamline it for existing customers so there's a more refined process where they could go from being an existing customer to getting their contract extended.
Answer your question, Kat? Any other questions? Senator, any questions?
Just a comment. I read this over, and now you all know I come from the perspective of a former member of the legislature. So, I agree with at least the general tenor of Judge Nicandri's question and observation about making things more streamlined. I guess my only concern is, this is amending the application process, which is, I think, is a positive thing. But I think it comes very close to amending the legislation, which is being done, or is it being done with any input from the legislature, i.e. the chairman of the Senate Energy Committee or the Assembly Energy Committee? I mean, do they know about this? Have they approved this? They signed off on this?
No, Senator, this is Keith. So to respond to your question, so we're in year 5 since the launch of the program in 2012, and there are approximately 400 plus customers who, by statute, are able to come back to the authority and ask for an extension of that 7-year contract term, so they could come in year 5. The original CFA application is for original applicants. So anybody who's applying for the program today, that application is going to stay exactly the way it's structured today. We're not changing that. The only thing we are changing is the extension application, where an existing customer comes in and they're asking for an extension of that 7-year term. So there are a couple of questions that we need to hone in on to make sure they're in compliance, to make sure that they've done energy efficiency measures or an audit consistent with the statute. So that's what this really hones in on. And we'd be happy to provide the board with the modification to that application for your review.
Yeah. I think this is a positive thing. Don't get me wrong. I think, I think this is clearly a very positive thing. And, what my perspective is being a former member of the legislature, former chair of the Energy Committee, I know that at least on the Senate side, Senator Griffo has a large presence with the Power Authority there in Utica. And, I know that many times, and I'm not just talking about the Power Authority, but, a legislator would be kind of taken aback when he hears that a change has been made. Now, I'm not so sure that this comes up to that level of a major change or something like that, but just as more of a constructive suggestion to the staff that you may want to touch base with the two chairs just to let them know that this is taking place.
Sure, that makes sense.
That's a good suggestion, but if I understand what you said, Keith, the legislation currently provides for the extension.
Yes,
So,
and we are not
So we're not
modifying
changing the
the
legislation.
12 criteria remain
Right.
intact. This is just for extensions.
But I think the senator makes a
Yeah.
good point.
Absolutely.
Good practice to keep our elected officials involved, and had the pleasure of working with you when you were in that capacity, Senator. I remember it very well. Okay.
And I would move this, by the way. I think
Thank you.
this is positive. I'll move it.
Great, thank you. Second, Judge, thank you very much. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any
Aye.
opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Yale, you did a good job.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
You did. Very nicely done.
Thank you very much.
Okay, that really concludes our business, other than indicating that the next meeting of the board is scheduled to be held on Monday, July 24th, 2017, guaranteed temperature of at least 80 degrees at that time, at 10 a.m. And if the corporate secretary's office will contact all of us about our availability for that date. And
Thank you.
if there's no other business to bring before the board, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
That's what the temperature is here today.
The motion and a second, and we're adjourned. Thank you very much for your participation.
Thank you.
Thank you, staff, for doing a good job.
Thank
Getting us
you.
ready for the meeting.